Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Right, YouTube, it's Mr. Mean. This video is going out to all my Patreon backers this morning. Today's video du jour, Metabarons. This is a weird one. I've had this for years in my collection. I've got a little wiki set up here, or not set up, but I pulled it up just because this one's been out there for a while. So this is a French comic book, and it's been a graphic novel. I think it's even had some movies kind of done it. I think Valerian kind of has a little bit of a touch, was affected. The script of Valerian and the visuals was affected by Metabarons. It was created by Alexandro Jodorowsky. I hope I said that name right. And this is a cool game. It uses WEG's D6. So if you remember the original West End games, Star Wars or Indiana Jones or all Tank Girl, any of those fun games. This is the game. This was a publication in 2001 by West End Games and Yeti. They put out 3 books for this. The rule book, which is what I have here, the Metabarons GM screen, or Master Screen as it was called, and then the Metabarons Guidebook #1, Path of the Warrior. All of these products, believe it or not, are still kind of sort of available. I went on Amazon and I was able to pull all 3 of them up. I have the GM screen, and of course I have the core rule book. Like I said, you can buy them on Amazon. They're pretty much cover price. I think the core book's going for like $35. There's $30 is what it originally retailed for. It's space opera. What's cool about this book? Well, everything. It's hardback. How many pages we got here? We do have a full index and a full table of contents. 287 pages. The last page being a very unprinter-friendly character sheet, if you can imagine that. So I would download one. I didn't look to see if you could find one on download, but they have it. The book is not your standard 8.5 by 11. It's a little bit bigger, so it has some problems fitting on a standard bookshelf, but the book is gorgeous. I never read the books. I know a couple people have. There is a comic in here, so it's kind of an added bonus. You get the book, you get a complete role-playing game, because you really don't have to buy anything else. You could run with just this, which is nice. It uses the D6 game, so if you like chucking a bunch of D6s, this is the game for you. This, of course, WEG is now defunct. As a company, they do not exist. A very comprehensive table of contents. The art. We'll get into all that in a minute, but what I wanted to point out is this was in WEG's heyday. This book is very well produced. It's on standard high glossy paper. Nothing bleeds. This book is 18 years old, and it still holds up. The pages haven't faded. I've owned it since 2001. I remember buying this with my good buddy Brian at Borders in California in Walnut Creek. We bought this. I bought this featuring the D6 system, which is actually not a bad system. If you've played the WEG Star Wars, you know it's a good system. It's been years since I've played any D6 systems. I don't remember, but one of the things that they tout in here on the mechanics is you roll a wild die, and it actually says wild die, which I thought was kind of funny because I thought Fantasy Flight had that. Maybe they don't have it trademarked, I guess. But it's the same thing. It's a D6. If you roll a 1 or a 6, it has consequences. 1 being negative, 6 being awesome. And they give you some optional rules. And basically, this is a dice pool game. So you're trying to shoot the bad guy. The GM will give you a difficulty, 15. You pick up your shooting die. And any situational modifiers would add or subtract. And then you roll some dice. If whatever the wild die is, they recommend it be a different color from the rest of the dice. And what happens if it rolls a 1, sucks. You subtract that die, and then the optional rule, which is pretty much the standard is you would take the next highest die and you would subtract that as well. So your odds of succeeding there just get real slim because you're losing 2 dice right off your dice pool. Of course, if you roll a 6, you pick up another die, you roll it. If it rolls a 6, it keeps exploding until it doesn't explode anymore, and then that's your final total. You total it all up, and then you succeed. Pretty simple die mechanic. Again, you don't have to run around with a whole bunch of different dice. Initiative is basically everybody makes an initiative roll. Whoever gets highest wins, and then you go from there. So standard D6 mechanics, just like the Star Wars game. Your modifiers, bunch of dice, looking for high numbers. But only the wild die explodes. The regular D6s, if you roll a 6, they don't explode. So the Metabarons universe. What's cool in this book is you get a comic that kind of sets the tone. Evidently, I haven't read this comic, and I just don't do comics anymore. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. But it was evidently an award-winning comic, and like I said, it's become a graphic novel. They've done a lot of stuff with it, and it's become it's popular all over the world. So popular that they made a role-playing game out of it. The Metabarons, with the participation of Alejandro Jodorowsky. So he actually had a hand in creating this as well. The GM screen, like I said, I do have. It comes with a little pamphlet inside of it. I believe it has a starting adventure. I don't remember. It's in the shelf there. I don't know where. And then there's the other book, which I have never seen. I don't. They had more books, according to the wiki. They had more books for this, but they just never. WEG went under for whatever reasons, and so it never got produced. Hardback, glossy pages. Like I said, 18-year-old book, still looks brand new. The art is colorful and vibrant. I mean, lots of cool stuff. There's a full little bestiary in here. I'm trying to find a nice big picture of art. And crazy shit. This guy's mind was out there. Look, they look like aardvarks or rabbits, or I don't know what the hell those things are, but they're creepy looking. So there's all kinds of aliens. You basically, you do not play the Metabarons. You play mercenaries working for the Metabarons. So plots within plots, mysteries within mysteries, that kind of thing. Tons of sidebars for the GM. If you're looking for a good space opera game, you might want to look. Like I said, this is still readily available. Look at the art. That's amazing art. It's just really, really awesome. And my understanding is all this art is taken from the actual comics. I don't know if they produced more art or not, but I can tell you that it is consistent throughout the book. Those of you that watch my channel know that's a huge pet peeve of mine, is consistency in art. The other cool thing is they give you a lot of examples. And I thought that was kind of weird in this game, because this is coming off the heyday of the D6 system and everything that was popular with it. So, I mean, WEG really didn't have to put that much effort, but I think they might have done it, at least in my opinion. This is in the role-playing community, and comic books and role-playing games, they do cross-genre quite a bit. And I know a lot of comic book collectors are gamers, and I know a lot of gamers are comic book collectors. But then again, there's also a lot that aren't. So I think they went from the point of view when they laid this book out, is they assumed you didn't know anything about Metabarons. And I like that, because I don't know anything about Metabarons. I never read the comics. I never saw any of their trade paperbacks or anything like that. So I don't know anything about the world. And so checking this out and watching it, reading it, has been cool. I kind of want to go get the comic books now. I kind of want to play in this world. It's a very well-read book. I didn't find a whole lot of typos. There's a couple in here, but that's to be expected when you translate from French to English. And I get the feeling that's kind of what happened. But the production value is top notch. I mean, I've never seen a better. There's very few books on the market right now that look this good, that are 20 years old, 18 years old. So this book stands up to the test of time. You can see there's a little wear and tear in the corners. I got a nick. This thing has been moved for the last 18 years. I don't know. I lived in California. I went to Louisiana. I went to Arizona. I went to Louisiana. I went to Beaumont, and now I'm in Duluth. This thing's moved a minimum 5 times, and I know I moved twice in California, because I lived in San Leandro, and then I moved to Walnut Creek, and then from Walnut Creek I moved to Arizona. I moved a couple times in Arizona, so this thing has made the trip several times. So that's quality to the testament of the binding and everything. It is held up. Good space opera. If you like your Baronies, your Dune, it's analogous to Dune for me. Like I said, not knowing the background of Metabarons, not reading the comic books, I can only go by what's in the book here. And they do a good job of giving you a world setting and everything. I think it's worth your library if you can find it. I found it on Amazon yesterday for $35. I wanted this video to go out to my Patreon yesterday, but it just didn't happen. So it's going to go out today, and then next Monday I will upload this to YouTube and all the other Google Plus channels. So my Patreon, if you want to see these videos sooner, I'm hoping to do at least 2 a week. If you'd like to get them when they're produced and not have to wait, become a Patreon. There'll be a link in the show notes. I've got 3 cool tiers. I've got the $5 meanie, the next tier, and then the Uber meanie. Uber meanies, it's $15 a month, which I think is pretty fair. And what'll happen is that'll get you exclusive chats with the developers and stuff. We'll get on Discord and we'll do Google Chat, and you guys I'll send a link out ahead of time, and you guys will get to sit in there, chat with the developers and ask questions and stuff like that. And then the Uber Minis will also be entered into a drawing for free copies of PDFs and stuff, because 90% of the time these guys are more than happy to give a copy of a book away. So that's the little something I can pass on to you for the benefit of being a Patreon subscriber. Everybody else, you'll just get to watch the videos when they come out. I'm going to try to keep it a week behind, but there's no guarantee on that. But the Patreon subscribers will get the videos first. So I didn't want to take too long. We're coming up on 12 minutes. I just wanted to get a quick video out. I think this is definitely an add to your collection if it's not already in it. If you have the ability to pick it up, like I said, it was on Amazon. I'll put a link in the notes to Amazon, and make sure everybody can see that. So that's it for today. This is my first Patreon video. Thank you guys for subscribing and helping me out. Every little penny helps, as the old saying goes. And I'm going to keep trying to throw out some cool content. If there's anything you want to see on the channel, if you are a game developer or game publisher, that means if you're Billy Bob sitting in your garage and you've made a role-playing game, send it to me. I will review it. I will give you an honest opinion. Some games, there's not too many games I do negative reviews of. I can usually find something redeeming and everything, unless it's just utter crap. And then I'm going to tell you it's utter crap. But try to be honest. If it's a paid-for review, meaning they sent me a copy of the game for free, I will tell you that up front. That doesn't bias my opinion at all, because I feel it takes a lot of effort and guts to put out something there for everybody to critique. And it's real easy to sit behind a keyboard 1,000 miles away and, oh, your game sucks or your game is great, but to actually put pen to paper, so to speak, and publish something, whether it's electronically published or a physical book, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, and I'm uber proud of those guys. I think it's a lot of hard work to do this. It's a labor of love, and you've got to love this hobby to put this amount of effort. Back in the day, WEG was one of the powerhouses. They were the Fantasy Flight of today. These guys had multiple licenses. They put out lots of, I don't even remember, there's like 20-something books for Star Wars. These guys threw out books like every other week. They did the Indiana Jones. I believe they did Tank Girl. They did a number of different games, man. Their library is quite extensive. So if this is one that's not in your library, do yourself a favor and add it. I'll put a link to the Amazon page that I saw it for sale, and do yourself a favor and pick this up. So as always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you're not a Patreon member, and you see this video next week, go ahead and follow that link to Patreon and help support the channel. As always, peace and hair grease, and be nice.